Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. It's bad enough that we have our politicians or people in charge of us who are supposed to be representing us. That's how it should work in a democracy or a democratic system. And it's bad enough that they do whatever they want once they're voted in the office, and they appoint their weasels that would do whatever they want, the bureaucrats. And now we have other countries that these guys give money to and support from our resources. Those guys will affect our lives by demanding all kind of things. If you remember, at one point, and I'm talking about obviously Ukraine and the United States, and not only, in general, the so-called collective West, as the Russians might call it. I call them, the monolithic West, which is not monolithic whatsoever. But you know how it is. Weasels are weasels. There's a lion and hyenas around that are with a lion in this context. So, for me, it was very evident that there are a lot of people who I would not like to associate with. And those are the ones who demand that Canada does not repair the Nord Stream 1 turbine. Remember that one? So the Germans cannot take it back, give it to the Russians, so they can get whatever gas, whatever they were taking from Russia. Remember, it was Zelensky. So Zelensky called the communist Trudeau, hey, don't repair that turbine, so the Germans cannot have gas. That was the consequences of that. If Siemens Canada would not have fixed the turbine, then no gas would have flown towards Germany. But the kosher president of Ukraine stated that it's better to hurt the Germans by not having that turbine given to the Russians, as bad as they are, because we're going to hurt the Russians and we don't really care if you guys are hurt. Remember, you being the German people. Germany helped Ukraine a lot without having any, how should I put it, any contracts, any understanding, nothing. They just helped. Their leaders, elected representatives, and their bureaucrats did that in the name of the German people. All right. Now the same thing happens here as well in the United States of America. Now you say, well, that's a weasel move. Now this guy, the same guy, Zelensky, wants to affect us all. Again, to hurt Russia. Russia will not be in this thing. Russia will be hurt, let's say, from 0 to 10, 10 being bad, 0 at all. Russia probably will be hurt 1 or 2, if what I'm going to read here will occur. Zelensky will be hurt 0, nothing. And then you have the rest of the monolithic West going to hurt about 9. And then other countries 7, 6. So Zelensky says this. Listen to this little article. Zelensky urges West to limit price of Russian oil at $30 per barrel. So if you remember, the G7 and other weasels, hyenas, and the big lion discussed on setting a oil price cap on Russian oil, obviously. And they were talking about limiting it to between $60 to $70 a barrel, or something like that, or 50 to 60, something in that area. They were talking about $60 a barrel. The Russians said, if that is to occur, we will not sell oil to the countries who will abide by this, I don't know how to call it, sanction or cap. And we're going to do business only with the countries that accept a market dictated price set by the market. Supply and demand. We know that's just words, but anyway. But this guy, Zelensky, comes and said, no. It's not enough $60. Drop it to 30. How about for free, Zelensky? So you cut it in two. Let me cut yours. Let's say 15. 15. How about 15? What do you think will happen? Where do you think oil the price of oil per barrel will jump overnight if this is to occur. And what's going to happen with the countries who really need oil? They will not get Russian oil. They have to get the oil from somewhere else at, I don't know, 5 times the price it was before the cap. So this is Zelensky, who wants to use, at the orders of others obviously, wants to use this situation in Ukraine to fuck you up and fuck me up. For what? Why don't you mind your own freaking business over there? But the problem is Zelensky is just a clown. He's just in between. He's just the guy who listens to the orders from there and he pretends that he's this and that. No, he's not. He's a clown. And unfortunately, clown like this, when they are together with other interests and don't work for the national interest, and I don't think he worked for the national interest of Ukraine, because this war should not have been started. It started under his watch. Why? Because his orders, received decisions he made, are consistent with starting the war, which disaster could have been avoided. That's my assessment. 99% certain could have been avoided. So this article comes from Ukrainska Pravda from today, the 25th of November 2022. Volodymyr Zelensky believes that the price ceiling for Russian oil, which is being discussed by the EU and G7 countries, should be set at $30 US dollars per barrel. I would like to know what is the rationale behind this, right? Because you don't make decisions that you wake up, you have a hard on and say, I think it should be 15. No, okay, you make a decision. I think I'm going to go and get a loan from the bank. How much? I don't know, what the fuck, 3 billion. Wait a second, why not 5 billion? So when you say, oh, because I thought that this would be the amount that I need to accomplish this and this and this. So it's a thought process. I would like to hear his thought process. Why not 60, but instead 30? Or why not 0, not pay at all? Let's make it communist. Why not? He's just ahead of the curve, right? Zelensky said this in an address to the participants of the European Idea International Symposium. Is that a symposium like the Greeks used to conduct? If you're not familiar with how a real symposium in ancient Greek occurred, it was, like you would say here, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The problem is it was also minors involved. Anyway, so that's how the symposiums were then. So I wonder if Zelensky participated in the old style. He seemed to be like one of them, like a squeaky, taking it all. This year, Europe, because he's taking it all from his masters, this year, Europe finally carries out Russia's energy disarmament. The continent's dependence on Russian energy resources has begun to reduce, and dependence, must vanish completely. This weasel tells us what we need to do, and one of the key instruments for that is to limit Russian profit from exports of its resources, the head of the state said. Yeah, they're not going to sell you anything to you. There are other markets that are going to need it, and the price of oil is going to jump high. So the revenues will be higher than they fucking were before. But anyway, okay, I found the blah 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 justification, but I didn't find out why 60 is not good, but 30 is good. And why not 15? Or for free, or $1 a barrel. How about that? What's the calculation? How did he get to 30? He woke up and say, hey, I think 30 looks good. Yeah, 30, man, 30. Yeah. He says here that the president of Ukraine drew attention to the fact that the world and Europe have started talking about the forced limitation of the price of Russian oil. And I'm quoting, and there are ostensibly discussions about the level of $60 or $70 per barrel. No doubt, such words are just sandbagging. They're rather an attempt to imitate something than to do something, Zelensky. So his thing is, I think 60 and 70,000, I don't like the numbers. The figures are not good. Let's get it. I like 3 and 0, like the Trinity. Let's go with that one. The president thanked Poland and the Baltic states and called their proposals on the price list of $30 reasonable. Oh, so you got the hyenas, the Poland and the usual suspects, Baltic states, little hyenas at the shade or shadow of the big bad lion, like in the Lion King cartoon that I mention all the time. So these are the hyenas. They're strong and mouthy when the big lion is. When the big lion goes to mate, these guys are left alone. They're like, fuck, shit, how are you doing? Towards the other lion. This is what Poland and the other three weasels. These are like the tip of the how do you call it, spear all the time. They're big mouth together. Just to put it in the context, the Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, these three countries together, their population is about 5 million people. 5 million people. And like a suburb in Shanghai, or not even. You know what I mean? This is the population. This is the countries. Look at their economies, how big they are in military. All right? And look at Poland. Poland is 40 million people. It's a bigger country. And I'm not going to go into how it got that big and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they love the Ukrainian as much as they love the Russians. So for them, it's like, wow, man, this is like the Super Bowl for me. Right here is the final of the Champions League in football in Europe, or maybe the final of the World Cup. Woo! I hit the jackpot. These guys are fighting because I love them both. So let's see. I help you with this, you kill those, and those will kill you, and then I'm gonna get this from you. All right, do you think that's another calculation over there, or just a hatred for other ethnicities? Well, I'm just, yapping around, I know. And I'm quoting, limiting the price at a level of up to $30 a barrel seems a more feasible proposal. Okay, why? And I'm grateful that such a proposal has been put forward and is being advocated. Why? Now it is a time to ensure this achievement in Europe as well. Why? As of this, what? Your statement? You didn't prove your statement yet. And other similar achievements that you didn't prove the validity or the advantage of using that. You say, okay, we should do this, this, this. I'm not going to tell you why. And then I say, based on that, this is another good thing. Wait, you didn't prove the first thing yet. Go back, tell me why, and then we can discuss. And then if we agree and we say, okay, yeah, we can move on, we move to the next issue. No, he took that as, yeah, that's a done deal, man. That's excellent. That's good. He added that after the introduction of price restrictions on Russian oil, Europe energy security and therefore price security will now be primarily based on cooperation and solidarity between European and on European energy rules. So that's blah, blah, blah. Money. How is the population of Europe going to be impacted? Cooperation and all this. These are words. Words. The fact is, when that happens, when this guy's going to put a cap, that's why they can't really agree with that, put a cap of how much you want, a cap. You limit some product to be sold at the market's value. That's communism right there, and that's not right. So then you have, let the market dictate it, supply and demand. But since you have the governments pulling and pushing and all the time, the economy, you don't know who's who, what's what. Everything is seems to be controlled and doesn't work as it should, but we should follow rules. That's the main thing. Was the like anyway, my job experience. If the policy was followed, it doesn't matter if the patient died. Was the policy followed? Good. All right, we're all good. Why? We have our butts covered. That's how it goes in the, especially in the governmental jobs. You're covered? You're covered? You're good. Did you follow the policy? That's good. Yeah, man. That's good. Yeah, but it was a failure. No problem here. The policy was followed. Yes, the system works. Great. Was there a positive result? No. But if you would try to change the policy, you work outside of the policy, and the result is a positive result, you're fucked. Because they're not going to look, hey, it was a positive result. Yes, Emil, but you didn't follow the policy, so you're fucked. The policy, if I would have followed the policy, that thing would have been tanked. But no, they care about the process to be, the policy to be okay, not exactly what's going on over there. The same with this guy. Talk about, and cooperation with friends, blah, blah. Result is going to be more, the price will be higher for oil, and the people will be affected. Does he care? No. The policy, the friendship, the connection, we are fighting against the evil. With whom? You're not going to have populations to fight. They're going to be starving and freezing. Yeah, I'm going to talk about, how do you call it, government jobs in my future programs, because I have a lot to say about that one and a lot of experience with that. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.